Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here for this press conference. Obviously, it's a busy time up here in Albany. I know the Senate's in conference. Actually, we're in conference, so some of our members were able to scoot out. But here to talk about an important message today. We're also joined by some stakeholders, some of who you'll be hearing from shortly. So recently a poll came out that said 71% of New Yorkers do not want a ban on natural gas. 76% of independents said that. 2/3 of New Yorkers, including 74% of Democrats, said they want a balance of the energy portfolio with renewables and natural gas. What they were reinforcing is they want energy choice. So earlier this week, the Assembly and Senate Democrats put out a new version of the HEAT Act. It has a new name. It's called the Customer Savings and Reliability Act. It's anything but that, but it has the same problem. The energy climate agenda being advanced by Democrats in New York State is not affordable, not reliable, and not feasible. Those three things are not a priority for the Democrats here in Albany. And I would dare say the governor as well, because she continues to advance and support these policies. What this new version of the HEAT Act does is really shows how completely out of touch Albany Democrats are with New York families and businesses. They simply are not listening. This at a time when families and businesses are struggling with some of the highest utility rates in the country. It's just going to exacerbate the affordability crisis that we're facing in the state. So keep in mind right now as we talk about this issue, 60% of New Yorkers right now utilize natural gas to heat. In some areas, it's 90% utilize natural gas to heat. 40% of our generation comes from natural gas. The HEAT Act and other policies like it, and with regulations that are being implemented, all go back to the CLCPA, which passed in 2019. The CLCPA is a Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, or so-called. Otherwise, the Green New Deal for New York to basically get to net zero generation by 2040. But make no mistake about it, the energy climate agenda being advanced by Democrats in the state is designed to dismantle the affordable and reliable natural gas infrastructure, supply, and delivery system. It is designed to take away consumer choice on how you heat your home, how you cook your food, how you power your buildings, and the vehicle you drive. It will jeopardize the reliability of the grid, leading to dangerous blackouts, and it will continue our nation-leading migration of more families, farmers, small businesses, and manufacturers leaving our state. Some of the biggest problems with the HEAT Act continues in this bill. It still authorizes the PSC to decommission and discontinue gas distribution beginning in January of 2030 in the full march to full electrification. The cost of this is very significant. It will significantly increase electricity demand, as it already is, which will increase electricity rates, and we know that natural gas is more affordable. This, despite these issues are really already being addressed by the PSC and utilities through gas planning proceeding that's studying the issues of affordability, study the issues of the pace of electrification, the ability of the electric system to reliably provide power for all New York heating needs, the future role of alternative fuels like renewable natural gas and hydrogen, and to focus on safe and reliable service. But yet, here we are trying to advance this misguided legislation to appeal to climate activists. So I said one part of the problem is this, authorizing the PSC for the decommission and discontinue of natural gas service. Can you imagine them going to neighborhoods and turning off the gas for people and them not having the ability to say no? How disastrous will that be? And very costly, and I'll talk about the cost in a minute. The other part of the proposal is to repeal the 100-foot rule. Yes, the 100-foot rule is a subsidy that helped connect the first 100 feet, but it's used to reduce the upfront cost to build new homes and businesses. Now, the advocates for the HEAT Act and this new bill will say it's too costly and will save ratepayers money. That is completely inaccurate. In fact, this will increase the cost of homes. This will cost good-paying union jobs, and this will increase utility rates for our customers. And keep in mind, when they say this can be a savings, the repeal of the 100-foot rule is not a one-to-one funding offset. This will be paid back through rates, but will be covered over a 60 to 80 year period. And think about it, when you add new customers to the service, you add revenue to the system. That helps pay and cover the utilities' other fixed capital and operating costs, which will reduce what is needed for existing customers. As I said, the energy climate agenda being advanced by the Democrats in Albany is designed to dismantle the affordable and reliable natural gas infrastructure, supply, and delivery system. They simply want fewer people using the natural gas system, so they want to make it more expensive for them with the hopes they don't stay on the system, they can't afford to stay on the system, and move to electric heat pumps. So think about it. Fewer people on the system will increase the cost to others. You increase the cost and you decrease the reliability because renewables are not as reliable as natural gas. Their plan, as I said before, is not about affordability, reliability, or feasibility. Let me talk about some of the costs that New York families and businesses are facing right now with the implementation of the CLCPA and the programs that are being implemented. Right now, when we passed the CLCPA in 2019, we used a 20-year methodology to measure gas emissions. Every other state, minus one, uses a 100-year. The US uses a 100-year, and international uses a 100-year. According to the state, not Philip Palmesano, if we do not change our methodology to a 100-year methodology, it will increase prices at the pump for New Yorkers by 63 cents a gallon and increase natural gas home heating costs by 79%. Here's another one. In July of 2023, the PSC approved $43 billion in future ratepayer increases to pay for the green energy mandates. Now, we all see the utilities going and looking to raise their rates, and yes, they're high. And when that happens, I see Governor Hochul and some of my Democratic colleagues saying it's the utilities' fault. But they fail to look in the mirror and recognize it is their policies that are creating this problem. Now, think about it. They want people off natural gas. Again, 60% of the people heat their homes with natural gas. 3 different studies out there said to convert your home over from natural gas to full electrification would cost $20,000 to $50,000 was estimated by the Climate Action Council, up to $50,000. The Consumer Energy Alliance said it would cost homeowners more than $35,000, and another study said it would cost homeowners between $40,000 and $50,000. Up to $50,000 to convert your home over from reliable and affordable natural gas to full electrification with heat pumps and higher electricity bills. Please tell me what senior citizen on a fixed income, what disabled veteran or disabled individual would sign up for that and can afford that and would want to do that to jeopardize the reliability and their affordability. We also know about the mother of all unfunded mandates with the electric school bus. We know about the regulations that are being placed, taking effect this year, the Advanced Clean Truck Rule and the Advanced Clean Car Rule, both of which will, if there is not a delay in the implementation, will devastate the trucking industry in the state of New York and the auto industry in the state of New York, and I want to get into those details. But let's talk about electricity rates. In 2019, before the CLCPA passed, the residential electricity rate was 17 cents per kilowatt hour. This year, in 2025, it's 26 cents per kilowatt hour. That is more than 40% higher than the national average. And we have a similar situation for commercial energy utility rates at about 50%. So that's cost. Let's talk about reliability. Several times we've talked about this. The NYSO just this week, or last week, put out their annual Power Trends report, basically sounding the alarm to the governor and the legislature that we have reliability thinness margins, and that's going to be dangerous, and it needs to be addressed. It's not safe. It's not safe for residential customers. It's not safe for commercial customers, and can lead to blackouts. Not to mention, in their report, they said they need to talk about possibly powering up shuttered fossil fuel plants. That's how serious this concern is being made. But another study that the NYSO said, to meet these green energy mandates, by 2040, we need 27 to 45 gigawatts of dispatchable emission-free resources. So the word gigawatt, for those of you who might not know, 1 gigawatt is the equivalent of powering 750,000 homes. So we need 27 to 45 gigawatts of dispatchable emission-free resources. They have no idea yet what that technology or resource is going to be. Is it going to be advanced nuclear? And nuclear needs to be part of the equation, I will say that. Will it be hydrogen? Will it be renewable natural gas? Carbon capture and sequestration? We simply don't know. And wind and solar doesn't count because it's intermittent, it's not reliable. Now, natural gas is often referred to as a bridge fuel. Well, tell me, do you tear down a bridge before you build a new one? No, you don't. You build a new bridge first, then you tear it down. But unfortunately, this governor and the Democrats in the legislature are insistent on tearing down the affordable, reliable natural gas infrastructure system, the bridge we have to the future. And let me be clear, we're not about saying no to invest in renewable technology, wind and solar. We should, and we are, but it should be part of a portfolio of fuel diversity. Because just like your 401k, you don't put it all in stocks, cash, and bonds. You diversify it to protect it, to make it more resilient, and that's exactly what we should be doing with our energy portfolio. Unfortunately, the governor and the Democrats in the legislature do not want to do that. So I talked about affordability, I talked about reliability. Now let's talk about feasibility. On top of that 27 to 45 gigawatts of dispatchable emission-free resources, we need a massive build-out, they estimate, to more than 120 gigawatts of generating capacity. Our current generating capacity in New York is 41 gigawatts. That's everything: wind, solar, hydro, nuclear, natural gas. And think about that huge amount of money that's going to cost in that massive build-out. It's not feasible. We keep saying, the reports keep saying, these goals aren't feasible, they're unattainable, so we need to pause and pump the brakes. But we don't see that happening coming from the governor and the majority. And quite frankly, in the CLCPA, there's language that says if the safety and reliability of the system is not there, we can pump the brakes on the CLCPA. Well, the NYSO has spoken, we should be pumping the brakes. And it's obviously, the Democrats in Albany have shown and continue to show their animosity towards natural gas. First, it started with the ban on fracking. Then it started with the attack on pipelines and not approving pipeline projects, even though they were approved by the federal government, finding ways for the state to deny pipelines to safely transport energy, natural gas in the Northeast, which is constraining the pipeline, is increasing costs for all. Then you see them deny air permits for new natural gas plants and even denying renewals for existing gas plants. And now, with this proposal, they want to authorize the PSC to decommission and dismantle the natural gas infrastructure system. They simply are not listening to the people and the businesses and the needs they're saying. Again, I will go back. 71% of New Yorkers do not want a ban on natural gas. 76% of independents agree with that. 2/3 of New Yorkers, including 74% of Democrats, want a balanced approach to the energy. They want renewable energy sources, but they want natural gas. That's what we've been talking about, a balanced portfolio. And let me tell you, and you're going to hear from business interests, when you talk to businesses about energy policy, they care about two things: affordability and reliability. And if they can't get affordable and reliable energy in New York, they're going to go elsewhere, just like they continue to do. There are other problems with this energy policy. We talk about the property tax that are not happening, the land use issues, the sourcing of materials for EVs, or energy security because of the fact that China controls more than 90% of the EV, or 90% of the rare earth materials and 80% of the solar market. And let's take it, this is all being done in the name of climate change and global emissions, right? But here's the fact. New York contributes 0.4%, just 0.4% of total global emissions. China contributes 30%, has 1,000 coal plants. New York has no coal plants. Has 1,000 coal plants and building more every week. And if you want to add India and Russia, that's 40%. Do we think China, India, Russia are going to help us with our clean energy goals? Sure, we can get down to zero, but we're going to, along the way, we're going to devastate our businesses, our families along the way, and lead to our nation leading out migration. You've already heard enough from me. Now I want to pass it on to some stakeholders who joined us today to share their thoughts on this area that we're moving forward. So first, I would like to say too, some of our stakeholders couldn't be here, but they are part of our quotes. We have a quote from the Manufacturer Association of Central New York, from the Executive Director of Upstate New United, and also for the NFIB, National Federation of Independent Businesses, and also for the New York State Builders Association. But we do have 3 individuals here to speak today to share their expertise and their concerns with what's trying to be advanced with this new version of the HEAT Act. So first, I would like to introduce Ken Pekulski, Vice President of the Business Council of New York State. Ken?
Morning. Thanks, Assemblyman. You covered a lot of ground. I'll add a little bit. So our organization, we represent about 3,500 private sector businesses from across New York State, all sectors, and CLCP implementation has been a significant concern to us. We have been on the record opposing the earlier HEAT Act, and earlier this week we filed a memo in opposition joined by about 20 other business groups opposing the new version of HEAT Act. And I'll say the only reason there's just 20 groups on that is because we've only had like a day or two to circulate it and get comments. There is a significant concern in the business community about proposals to force the curtailment of the natural gas system, even though this bill may not directly impact businesses. And we have some questions about the detailed language in the bill on how energy-intense, trade-exposed businesses could be treated or bypassed under this bill. But as you curtail the system, as the Assemblyman spoke, as you remove users from the system, you do increase the costs of maintaining that system on the users who have no options, like some major industry in glass, in metals, and others. Very difficult, if not impossible, to electrify. You know, we've said it before, we're going to continue to say it. We support what we call an all options approach to moving forward with our greenhouse gas reduction goals. We think the state needs a natural gas system that can support the essential use of natural gas in industry, as well as future distribution of renewable gas and others. We also think there's a path forward where New York State can and should be investing more in weatherization efficiency, as opposed to limiting energy options. And I will say this. New York State several years ago passed a e-building mandate, which for most new buildings in New York kicks in 1/1/26. It's been recognized, at least anticipated, there's going to be areas of the state where the distribution grid is simply not going to be able to accommodate significant new building, particularly housing development. And that rule is going to recognize there's going to be if you can't get timely expansion of the electric power distribution system, you're going to be exempt from the mandate. It's somewhat ironic under this legislation, those new buildings who can't access electric power are going to be subject to a financial penalty for their the essential need to hook up to the natural gas system. So we think we can see a number of concerns about how this will impact existing and future residential development. We're also, because of the nature of our membership, very concerned about the forced reduction of the gas distribution system, its ultimate impact on industrial and commercial users of gas. So, we say no. We say no to what we're referring to as heat light. Appreciate the invite today. Thanks.
Thank you, Ken. Next, I would like to introduce Dan Ortega. Dan is a Community Affairs Liaison for the Engineers, Labor, and Employer Cooperative, ALEC 825, but Dan is also the Executive Director for New Yorkers for Affordable Energy. Dan?
Thank you, Assemblyman. I want to begin by thanking the Assembly Republican Conference for their strong support, especially Assemblyman Palmesano. He's been amazing in all of these issues over the past couple of years. Here we are on the day that the Senate is scheduled to adjourn, and we're still talking about the HEAT Act. But the one thing that we're not talking about is affordability and reliability. While the bill has been around for several years, it's been amended, it's been renamed, it remains really bad for ratepayers, jobs, customers, as it was when it was first proposed many years ago. The HEAT Act, or whatever name they may have given it recently, will increase the cost of 75% of New Yorkers. This is not a claim. This is not something I just made up. We know this because Senator Kruger, the main sponsor of the bill, admitted it over a year ago when she did a press release with many advocates to talk about the bill. In the press release, and I quote, 25% of New Yorkers will save an average of $135 per month under the HEAT Act. I'm not making math, but when you subsidize something for 25, the other 75% of the people are going to have to pay for it. And to me, that's a losing proposition. This bill also gets rid of the 100-foot rule, which obligates the utility to provide free hookups of gas service if the home or business is within 100 feet of a natural gas connection. Again, Senator Kruger says this is not a big deal because you can still pay for it. Well, yes, you can pay for it, but we're adding thousands of dollars more to a new construction, which we shouldn't be doing in an environment where affordability is a major concern for every single New Yorker. How can you look at a big price tag like that and say it's not a big deal? Further, getting rid of the 100-foot rule would drastically decrease the amount of union workers that operate and work on gas connections every day. Senator Kruger says that they will be retained and they will be trained as electricians. Well, part of the problem with that is that the state has not provided a single penny for training for anyone to stop doing the gas work that they're doing today and training to be workers in the new system. Not a penny. In addition to that, as someone who works with union members to do construction, it takes at least 5 years for someone from beginning to end on training to be able to do this type of work. And as these bills have come back and forth into the legislation over the years, we still have not seen a single penny to train or to actually start a training program in the state of New York for these future jobs. Moreover, according to the New York Independent System Operator, New York needs much more energy in the incoming years. The promised transition to renewable is way behind, and it's going to cost a lot more than we were promised in 2019. The only way to keep the grid stable and the lights on and the heat on is to continue the use of natural gas. Right now, and I checked this a couple of minutes ago, 50% of the power throughout the state is because of natural gas. And just roughly 9% comes from renewables other than hydrogen and nuclear, which we don't count for as renewable. The last thing that New York needs is a policy that gets rid of our top energy source. In short, the HEAT Act is a disaster for workers, business, and consumers alike. Its goal is clear, no matter how hard they try to hide it. Get rid of the ability for New Yorkers to access and use safe, reliable, affordable natural gas in their home and businesses. In the HEAT Act, far-left politicians from Albany do not understand the economy or the utility industry, and once again are imposing their ideology views on everyday people without concerns for the cost. We strongly urge the Assembly and the Governor to reject this proposal put forward by the Senate majority, and instead to continue to champion common sense, affordability, and a stronger economy. One more thing. Anyone who's betting on the HEAT Act to do anything to reduce emissions all over coast should be calling 1-800-GAMBLER. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dan. Our next speaker is Joe Peluso, Vice President of the IBEW Local 97. Joe?
Thank you. My name is Joe Peluso. I'm the Vice President for IBEW Local 97. I'm here to strongly oppose the Senate Bill 8417. All this bill does is accelerate the quiet dismantling of New York's natural gas system, which thousands of workers maintain today. We oversee thousands of utility workers underneath in our local and across all of upstate New York. This bill removes the obligation for the utility to cover the cost of the 100-foot rule that you all heard about today. If customers and builders cannot afford to do that on their own, they'll be forced to use all electric. This is not about energy choice, it's about pricing natural gas out of the future. New York has over 10,000 union jobs that contribute to the gas distribution system. Diminishing those is detrimental to the state's economy and the middle class. Instead of banning gas outright, this bill solely pulls it out from underneath the workforce. This is not responsible energy planning. This is economic displacement with no net zero jobs to replace it. Gas is essential. As you've heard here, over 60% of the homes in New York State still rely on natural gas for heat, and customers want reliable and affordable service. If the state wants to change this direction, let's do it with the workforce in mind, not at their expense. This bill offers no workforce protections, no retraining, no job guarantees, just fewer hookups, fewer jobs, and fewer options for working people. We urge lawmakers to vote no. Let's build a transition plan that protects both workers and customers without losing sight of New York's energy goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Dan. Thank you to my colleagues that are standing behind me. Thank you to the media and everyone here today for covering this important issue. Certainly, we're at the final last few days of session. We know that the majorities have bills that they want to get done and work on. They should know if this bill comes to the floor of the Assembly, they should expect 4 hours of debate on this, at least 30 from me. So that's just going to be less time for other bills, but that's up to them. But I don't know why they would want to advance this piece of legislation, because it does nothing for affordability, reliability, or feasibility, and doesn't supply the consumer choice that 71% of New Yorkers want. So with that, I would be happy to answer any questions if you have any questions for me, or any of us. Yes.
How does the new bill affect their homes? Some people, it's the opposition. Basically, solar, that some people out there have homes that are older, or parts of the state.
Are you asking if the language in the new bill?
Does it make it more palatable in Western New York?
I would, in my opinion, and I'm speaking for myself, and I think my colleagues from Western New York would agree, no, because number one, this still gives the PSC the authority to go in to neighborhoods and decommission and stop natural gas service being provided to people. Now there's supposed to be these regional plans they put in, regional transition plans, and there's supposed to be an opt-out, but it still has to be approved by the PSC. And how do you do an opt-out in this type of thing? And really what they're doing is, as I said, with the 100-foot rule, all that thing, it's really designed to make, the Democrats really don't want people on natural gas. They don't like it. We talked about their whole policy from fracking to pipelines to denying air permits. They don't want people on gas, even though we're importing it from other states. So they want to make the cost higher for the users. So if you use a 100-foot rule, it's going to cost more. It's going to increase homeowner prices. It's going to increase cost of good paying labor jobs, and it's going to increase rates because when you have fewer people on the system, that's more people paying into the system, or less people paying in, so it's going to be more expensive, and that's why the 100-foot rule will be more costly. So, in my opinion, from what I've read in this bill that was just put out a couple days ago, I don't think this is going to do anything to allay the concerns and fears that have been raised from the original HEAT Act, just because you still have that ability for the PSC to go in there and decommission and shut down natural gas service to neighborhoods. And can you imagine if you live in a neighborhood without any opinion from yourself, senior citizen, veteran, disabled individual, now they're told that they can't have natural gas? What is their option? Heat pumps. And as I said, to convert your home over from natural gas, and in Western New York, 90%, I've used the number 60% heat with natural gas. In Western New York, it's 90%. So imagine that senior citizen, that veteran, that disabled veteran or disabled individual. Now they're told they can't use affordable and reliable natural gas. Now they got to go out and get heat pumps. And it's not just buying heat pump. You have to deal with the shell of the property. You have to deal with electric upgrades. That's why that cost could be upwards of $50,000 depending on you where. In Western New York, that cost was $40,000, $50,000. So I don't think it's going to do anything to appease legislators from Western New York. And in my opinion, I think if you talk to Democrats from Western New York, I think they don't want to see this happen. There are a number of Democrats that don't want to see this happen. I hope it doesn't happen, but I won't rest until they gavel out for the last minute, because remember last year, the very last night of session, we were at a final Ways and Means meeting, and right in the middle of it, we got a call on saying we're taking up the Climate Superfund bill, and we passed that at 2 in the morning. So until that gavel bangs for the last time, whenever that is, I will not rest. Our conferences, Senate and Assembly conferences will continue to speak out on this. And if they want to bring this to the floor, that they should just be prepared for 4 hours of debate, and that's 4 hours less time to do their other bills that might be priorities for them. And this is not a good bill, period. Not good for New Yorkers, not good for families and businesses. And remember, when I talk about businesses, we have business representatives here, when it comes to energy, businesses care about 2 things: affordability and reliability. If they can't get affordable and reliable energy in New York, they will go elsewhere. And so this is just going to continue our nation-leading out-migration of more families, farmers, small businesses, and manufacturers leaving the state of New York. This shouldn't advance, and hopefully it does not advance. Thank you. Any other questions? No? All right, thank you all for coming. Appreciate being here.
Good job, Phil.